The most boring video I have ever made is here. Hey everybody, if you're watching this video, then you are going to learn about Etsy terms of service. If you're an Etsy seller, you don't want to miss this video. It's going to be so boring, but I'm going to try to make it as easy to understand as possible because I know that as an Etsy seller, it's super important for you to understand the fine print and have someone explain it to you in layman's terms.
So you want to know what's new on Etsy. Well, we are going to review these new terms that I received in an email, and it's important for you to know what they are because they could affect you as a seller and your long-term viability on the platform. So here goes. Terms of use, we've made changes to our dispute resolution clause. Right away as a lawyer, I know that that means they are basically predetermining how they are going to handle disputes on the platform. So basically what they're saying is that for small matters, they are deciding that you are going to go into arbitration, meaning that there cannot be litigation to start for, quote, smaller matters. And for arbitrations where there are 24 or more claimants, they're about to tell us what those changes will be. So it sounds like Etsy's trying to do everything and anything they possibly can to stay out of court, and they're basically forcing you into that same decision that they've made by you using the platform. So you using the platform means that you agree to these terms. Doesn't mean you have to send them an email and say, yes, I agree. Even if you send them an email and say, no, I don't agree, if you use the platform and you sell anything on there, you are basically agreeing to their terms of use, meaning that you will have to engage in arbitration or just handle it privately with them. Privacy policy. So as an Etsy seller, I'm sure you're probably less concerned with privacy policy, so we will definitely come back to this. I'm sure that you are more concerned with number one, in the event that they close your account or suspend your account, you want to know what your recourses are in terms of being able to get that account back from a legal perspective. So I'm sure the privacy policy is of less concern to you, but we'll touch on it anyway. Well, for those sellers that have visitors to their store and have buyers that want to use gift cards, that might be relevant to you. Again, we'll go back to that. Etsy's creativity standards. So that is definitely new information. I'm going to click on that right now because that is definitely applicable to you as an Etsy seller. So Etsy's creativity standards, let's see what they are. So by hand, I think that's pretty understandable. Made by hand or computerized tools. So I guess, here using a sewing machine, using a computer to generate your graphics. So it sounds like this isn't a problem for most sellers. They're able to buy from a thrift store and resell or upcycle certain items as long as the seller personally selected and curated the items for sale. Sourced by a seller, it basically sounds like supplies, beads, something as simple as cotton balls, basically supplies that are used to make an end product are going to be allowed on the platform. So the one that really piques my interest here, though, is designed by a seller. I feel like this is where a lot of sellers get in trouble because, under the Etsy profile, you have to designate whether or not you have partnered with somebody in the production of your items or in the acquisition of those items. They would be considered a partner. So that is the one that I see most sellers running into an issue with and could still be an issue under these new terms. And under here, they go into more specificity as to what is designed by a seller. So you guys should definitely take a look at this because I think that will be important. So now let's move on to intellectual property policies that Etsy has in place. This section is very, very important because, as you know, I am a business lawyer helping you mostly with your intellectual property needs on Etsy. So this section is very, very important. If we scroll down to the second paragraph under Etsy's role. So as you guys know, if you've experienced a takedown of either your listings or of your account, it's because Etsy reserves the right to be able to do that, to disable any listing shopper account that they believe, okay? Keyword is believe. They don't have to know for certain. They don't have to have been tipped off for a fact. They don't have to do a trademark search. It's only upon belief. So that is very, very important. If Etsy believes, in other words, if they feel, if they think, if they just have a reason to think that you have violated their terms of use, then they're going to take down your account or your listing. But what happens in the event that somebody else has reported you for some kind of intellectual property violation? This is where paragraph 2 is very, very important. So that means that for those of you that have copyright violations, in an email, more than likely you will have received information about who reported you, why they reported you, what the affected listings are on your account, and possibly information about how to submit a counter report. Now, I can tell you based on the number of Etsy sellers that I have spoken to, that Etsy does not investigate whether or not these claims are false. So if somebody reports you for a copyright violation or any other type of intellectual property violation, Etsy does not check. Etsy does not verify whether these claims are false. They don't verify whether the claims are accurate, and they are not going to do their own independent investigation. So if you read between the lines, based on talks that I've had with clients, more times than not, Etsy will side with the person who has made the report for an intellectual property violation, and Etsy's belief stands with the person who reported you. So they will then take down your listing or your account. So in paragraph 3 is where we get into the counter notice. So in my experience, whenever somebody files a counter notice, that has usually been enough for Etsy to restore the listing as stated here in this paragraph within 10 business days after the counter notice is processed. So the DMCA counter notice does carry substantial legal weight for Etsy. And if you do file a counter notice, then more than likely your account or your listing will be reinstated. But please, please, please do not file a counter notice if you have in fact committed copyright infringement. So if you have not committed copyright infringement, please submit the DMCA counter notice. This is something we can help you file, but do not submit one if you have in fact committed copyright infringement. No, no, no. Moving on to paragraph 4, this is very important as well. Repeat infringement. What does Etsy do when there is repeat infringement by a seller? So if Etsy believes you have committed multiple infringements, they reserve the right to refuse all services to you, meaning they will shut down all of your accounts. And that is in paragraph 4. Paragraph 5 is about withdrawals. What happens when somebody reports you and you need them to withdraw their complaint? In my experience, I have seen that when somebody formally withdraws their complaints and you are not a repeat copyright infringer or intellectual property infringer, the chances of you getting your account or your listing reinstated are high. But I do not want you to relist those items if you know that that's what landed you in hot water to begin with. So do not relist the item or something similar that will again prompt someone to report you for infringement. Because remember, everything Etsy says in their terms of service is based upon belief. So if Etsy believes that in any way, shape, or form you have committed copyright infringement or an intellectual property violation, they can refuse to offer you services on their platform. So I know that all of this information was definitely a big pill to swallow and it's a lot of information to digest. But if it was helpful, at least make sure to give me a thumbs up so that I can create more videos that are helpful to you as a seller on multiple e-commerce platforms, not just on the Etsy platform. My goal is that you reduce the amount of mistakes that you make on these e-commerce selling platforms so that you can continue to sell and increase your revenue. If you are facing an Etsy suspension of your listing or of your account, please make sure to contact me. It's always free to send me an email. I cannot guarantee that your account is going to be reinstated, but I can guarantee that I will help you to the best of my ability to get your account reinstated based on what I know and on my experience. Again, it's free to send me an email. Make sure you scroll down into the description. My information is there, and I am more than happy to chat with you, whether you're selling on Etsy or on a different e-commerce platform. And for more information about selling on Etsy, don't forget to check out that video right there because it's a great follow-up to this video. And as a seller, it's important to understand what to do and what not to do. Also, tell me in the comments below what you wish Etsy would do differently for sellers so that sellers can continue to flood their platform. Drop those in the comments below because you never know who is watching. So if this was the most boring video you've ever seen on YouTube, make sure to give me a thumbs up down below so that I know you agree with me. And if you need a part 2 to this video, please tell me in the comments below so that we can cover some of the things that I thought were less important to you, but that you would want to know more about.